Hello out there, you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear, listening into another Pitch for Switch video for me. And this I'm going to be talking about Hyrule Fantasy Maker, which is another concept that I took from my Wii U series. So I'm reprising it here, and I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit better of a downscaling on it and give a better idea of how it should function and play, because I've had more time to think about it, and that video is like almost 4 years old. Anyway, so there'd be different stylings. This is top-down Zelda for the most part, all the 2D styles. So you have Zelda, you have the Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2, Link's Adventure, then Link's Awakening, A Link to the Past. Then there's Four Swords Minish Cap, then Phantom Hourglass, and lastly, well, then A Link Between Worlds, and then lastly, A Link's Awakening HD, because that styling might actually be slightly different from A Link Between Worlds. So I just wanted to point that out. Like, it looks similar. It looks like it feels similar, or like that's an HD version of A Link Between Worlds, but the character stylings are still a little bit different. So I wanted to include it. Basically, what this will boil down to is the older styles will give you more space, depending, like, from the bottom up. So if you want to make a massive world, you're probably going to want to stick with like the older NES style Zeldas rather than one of the more modern ones. If you want to make something that's kind of like, medium sized or somewhere in that range, then you'll probably stick between, like, the SNES and Game Boy Advance stuff, possibly the DS styles. And then, again, further along technology, the less space is utilized, like being able to be utilized. And that's all up to creative choices of whoever's designing it. Somebody may just want to make a massive dungeon, just be a dungeon. You don't have to have a crap ton of rooms if you're really creative. You could just simply have like 5 or 6 different rooms and just space them out the right way, like some Zelda dungeons are in the first place. So really, it's all up to player creativity, interpretation on that point. So, honestly, it just depends on how you want to design it. I would make all of the different weapons and items available, different obstacles, all of that stuff would be available across the board, though it would just have different utilizations depending on which Zelda engine you use. So, giving that option to people, allowing them to go ahead and experiment with stuff like having later items moved down to the old school Zelda games, like the Magic Hammer, because that wasn't in the original as far as I remember. So, like, it gives you choices, allows you to play with some stuff, and you can create your own adventure depending on how you set these games up. You can make them non-linear if you want, or very linear. It just depends on how you wish to set it up as a designer. So, giving all of those options to the player, giving all of those choices to the designer, so that they can create their Zelda masterpiece, would be cool. And I would look forward to something like that, because it would be awesome to me. So, I mean, you just kind of keep that in consideration. Like, I think it would be awesome. It'd be fun, and it could be one of those things where the game is so well designed and so well put together that a lot of people will enjoy it. And I could see millions of levels or millions of different adventures being put together for this. And, like, yeah, it will take far more time than something like Mario Maker, but I think at the end result would be awesome. And it can come with its own base adventures, like one for each style, so that people know like what they're capable of doing and what they can add in to different Zelda formats. Like, say, take for example, adding the hook shot to Zelda 2 could give it like a feel like, like Castlevania 4 was, where you could aim it in different directions and there are certain things you can hook it onto, so that Link can swing across pits and stuff that he wasn't able to do before. Like, stuff like that I think is highly interesting, and I know a lot of people would like and enjoy. So, for me, that would be a good choice to have something like that available. again, it's all up to, it would all be up to creator choice and stuff like that. And I know Nintendo's capable of putting something like this together, and I just look forward to it personally. I would look forward to it personally if they did it. I mean, I'm not saying it's ever going to be announced. I think it would be a good idea to announce it, but I don't think. I mean, I don't think it's a bad choice to go ahead and say, "Hey, Nintendo, this would be cool to put out. You guys have all the resources for this type of stuff. Go ahead and just throw this out for people to be able to play and to experience." So, I mean, again, that's just up to me. That's how I see it, how I think about it, and I would enjoy it heavily. Um, the only thing you'd have to kind of work around would be the DS styles because they were heavily touchscreen based. So those styles might only be able to be played in handheld mode for the Switch, unless there was some sort of alternative setup, or they just decided to allow those to have button inputs. It really just depends on what Nintendo would do. I mean, I would personally add in the button inputs because I think a lot of people would enjoy it. But giving the option to be able to play it handheld only and just to be able to use the touchscreen would be cool too. It just, again, just depends on what they would want. But having those options available would be very nice. And having the option to be able to use your 3DS as a controller would be pretty cool too. Like that way you can use it for controlling the game as well as having additional design options. Well, maybe not additional design options, but making the layout of the design options a little bit easier for someone to understand because they'd have additional screens that they could look at that would give them information. And again, you'd have the touchscreen availability there. Again, up to Nintendo, it would just be something that they would have to decide to do. I personally think it would be very nice. It's a capable thing. There's a functionality there that they're excluding from their games that they have built into this stuff that they've set up to be able to use. And it irritates me when they don't fully use the potential of their hardware. But sometimes you don't have that choice as a developer, and I get that. I just wish that they did it more. But there's not much more to really say about this. I mean, I could gab on for hours about how the different styles work and how the different weapons and stuff could work. But to be fully honest, it would be better to just, see what Nintendo would do if they did it. Again, I would enjoy it, and I know a lot of other people would enjoy it, but you got to give the company a chance to develop this type of stuff. And maybe they are working on it. Who knows? They might actually be working on it. There's no telling. But I would personally like to see it happen. And I think that it would be a very successful game if they did it. Again, just like Mario Maker, you have near infinite possibilities as far as the game goes. So why not? But that's it. Thank you guys very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears up for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games. Peace out.